to the Human 2 podcast, the podcast that investigates how we stay human and true to ourselves during challenging times in our professional lives, with a focus on the accountancy and finance profession. After all, accountancy human too. I'm Hannah, I'm the founder of Accountancy Hub and director of Human 2 Limited. I'm also an organisational culture consultant and an ICAA chartered accountant. Today I had the pleasure of talking to Andrew Mower, who is a tutor for ACCA's AFM exam. He enjoyed studying for his accountancy qualification so much that he became a tutor, and he's been helping learners on their journey to qualification for over 10 years now. So a little bit more about Andrew. He was PQ Magazine's Lecturer of the Year in 2018, and he's taught first in the world students on 4 separate occasions. Wowee! In this episode, we chat all about careers, as usual. We also talk about his PwC experience, forensic accounting, which sounds super interesting, why he became a tutor, and also, of course, challenging periods in his life. I really hope you enjoy the episode. Hi, Andrew, and welcome to the Human 2 podcast.
Hi, Hannah. How are you doing? All right?
I'm good, thank you. Great to have you on here. We have worked together a little bit in the past. We hosted a webinar together, which was brilliant, all on exam technique and mindset. And I know we'll come on to mindset later in the episode. But could you briefly tell our listeners who you are and a little brief history of your career to date?
Sure, yeah. So hi, everyone. I'm Andrew Mower. I'm an accounting tutor. I worked for PwC, was right back at the start. So I joined PwC up in Leeds, worked there for a few years, qualified with PwC whilst I was studying at Kaplan. Just before that, in fact, I did a chemistry degree, which some people are a little bit shocked by. Sort of most people seem to sort of go into the finance world and stick with it. So I did a chemistry degree and then applied for a role at PwC and got that. So I was one of a few people at PwC who hadn't done some sort of finance in the past. I remember I sat next to my mate James at Kaplan, who did a music degree, and we were hearing all these like debits, credits, all these terms being thrown around, just going, what are they talking about? Like, what is this? So we were a little bit bamboozled for a few weeks. Joined PwC, worked in forensics, which I think we'll talk about in a bit. I'll tell you a bit more about sort of that part of my career and forensic services in the finance world, which had some quite interesting stories. As I said, I studied at Kaplan when I was at PwC, loved my time at Kaplan, had some great tutors, some amazing tutors at Kaplan in Leeds. Ben Wilson, who I'm now working with various ACCA bits, was one of my tutors, a guy called Ollie Seed up in Leeds, who was amazing, Joe White. There are loads of great tutors up in Leeds. And they sort of inspired me a bit to potentially go into the teaching thing. It was always in my mind, we're helping people, we're having fun. They always seem to really enjoy their job. Sometimes maybe a bit too much, like those those really enthusiastic tutors. Ben always used to get a bin and put it on the desk and all this, so he was having a great time.
Wait, why did he put a bin on the desk?
It was something to do with, there was some analogy to do with management accounting. I mean, it obviously wasn't that powerful because I've forgotten what the analogy was, but I remember that he was putting a bin on the desk and doing some wacky stuff. So I was thinking, yeah, this job seems great. When I qualified, I then left PwC and joined Kaplan down in London, and worked at Kaplan in London for just over 10 years, doing some, obviously, teaching, lots of different qualifications and all sorts. But then also doing some management roles. So looked after recruitment in London for a bit, managing a team of tutors. Did various roles at Kaplan. And then set up my own sort of tuition services in 2023. So I went freelance and now do lots of online teaching and have my own ACCA AFM course. I'm working with ACCA quite a lot as well. So that's a brief history of my career.
So did you always know you wanted to go into accountancy? When you'd finished your chemistry degree, what made you, join the Big Four?
It's a good question. No is the answer to, did I know I always wanted to do sort of finance stuff? I think if I did, I probably would have gone down that route as part of my degree and all that. did a chemistry degree. Originally, I was going to go into medicine, and then sort of had a slight change of heart around that. So yeah, just like after when you're at uni, after uni, you start looking for roles. This PwC role came up, and they're often one of the top. I think they still are top graduate employers in the UK. Massive intake, just seemed like a really well organized, like good structure to it. And the forensics thing, that's what drew me in. I never really wanted to go into audit, so apologies to any auditors, but I was sort of almost actively avoiding any audit roles. But yeah, I saw this forensics job. There was one in Leeds, one in Manchester. And I'd been to Leeds to watch Luton play once. And that was an interesting experience. And then the next time I went to Leeds was to move up there to work for an interview with PwC, and then ultimately to live there. So it was quite a bold move, but I had a great time. Absolutely loved it. Leeds is a great place. And again, met some amazing people up there as well. So that was sort of that element. But yeah, definitely not like this is my career set out. I've got it all determined in advance. There was none of that. It was very much a sort of falling into it slightly and then getting stuck in.
So tell us a little bit more about forensic accounting. So I'm aware of it because it was, one of the departments at the company that I trained at, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah, sure. So it's like the glamorous side of it, and like one of the big things that they do is sort of looking at fraud investigations. So that was a big part of the things, and I worked on a few cases. There was a case up in Leeds, which is public information, so I can talk about it. A company called Squirrel Storage, and the finance director there had been, she set up a load of invoices to pay herself rather than paying suppliers. So over a series of years, she'd been paying herself. She went on holiday, which is often the thing that catches people when they're away, and then someone takes over their role for a few weeks, and they were sort of thinking, where are these invoices going? Where's all this money heading to? And they uncovered that she'd been paying herself for years. So she ended up in prison. So that was a case that I looked at up in there. So there were a few things like that, like fraud, also commercial disputes you get involved with. So I worked on a case where one company was buying another, and they can't agree on the value of some assets. So they're a bit stuck. So then they'll get an independent company in like PwC to say, right, this is our independent expert opinion on how much this asset should be worth, how much you should be paying for it, and that side of stuff. So there's there's quite a lot of anti-bribery work as well. So like due diligence and sort of anti-bribery for companies looking to potentially work abroad or making sure their policies are in place. So quite a bit of work around that. So it was quite varied. So yeah, it was quite different in a way, and very project driven rather than, there isn't like a set schedule for when a fraud's going to happen. So it might be quite quiet for a while, and then you go, bang, okay, there's a massive case. We need 40 people working on this project. So there was quite a bit of travel involved. So yeah, stayed in a fair few hotels during that time as well, which is exciting when you're quite young in your career and everything else. It's like, wow, this hotel's nice and this is a glamorous lifestyle. You do get over it after a while, but initially it's quite good fun.
So, you were saying the woman who was paying herself with the invoices. So do they bring your company in to go through all their accounts and find all the evidence and like provide that to the court?
Yeah. So a lot of, again, obviously I was at a relatively junior level at that point because I'd only just started. But yes, some of the more senior guys would, regularly be in court. They'd be presenting information and presenting stuff in a courtroom as part of the conviction. So yeah, it's serious stuff. There's some really big things, and obviously this is people's lives that are at stake at times. So there are some big things. But yeah, I'd worked on quite a few projects, literally where you're looking for evidence. Like you're looking for that red flag that something has happened. So there's an overlap with audit in a way, in that you're almost checking, is everything okay? And then, okay, bang, it's not. So that was quite exciting at times because you would uncover the occasional, here you go, I think I've got something here, which was quite fun. So yeah, that side of it was good. Yeah.
So tell me about your experience at the Big Four. Did you enjoy working in that environment?
Yeah, the Big Four is amazing. It is so, as I said, well organized. Coming out of university and into the Big Four graduate, so it was the PwC graduate scheme. It was like an extension of university in a way, because you had a group of people, like a really good intake of people, some of whom I'm still really good mates with. Some of my best mates are we're in that intake. So it's great in that sense. And it's just so well planned out, like the training, like you got your college time, you've got your progression throughout the company as well. It's so well planned, and it's amazing to get your development sort of mapped out, which is absolutely great. Just going back to the making mates for life type thing, I remember one of our induction sessions, they said in the intake last year at PwC in Leeds, there was something like there are now, of the room of 30 people, there are 7 couples now in this like from that intake or something. And you're looking around, and this is my first day. I've never met any of them, and you're sort of thinking like, oh right, how's this going to work then, and what's going on here? And sure enough, like there were quite a few, and I've been to quite a lot of PwC weddings like over the last few years. Like it's it was quite good for that. An added benefit was the dating scene, I guess, of the Big Four, which you don't really plan for. But so that side of it was amazing, and the progression, and again, everything's really mapped out and everything else. There are sides of it which I think people find challenging, and I certainly did as well. Like I said earlier, like a lot of the project work, some of the hours, you'll hear this a lot, but some of the hours people are expected to work are pretty intense because there are tight deadlines, and they've got this, as I said, maybe even like a court case date. So it's pretty hard deadline. You're not going to be able to just push that back. So at times that the deadlines and the amount of work that was expected was really high. So that side of it can be quite tough. And I know some people in different departments sort of often working into the early morning, doing even on audit jobs and things, which can be quite tricky. I also personally found the travel tough at times, just because it's quite unsettling. Again, literally, I'd stay in a hotel for a few months at a time at some points, and or they put people up in like apartments. So that when you've already got a home life and a home routine, I didn't have kids or anything at that point, so it was relatively okay for me. But I still missed friends and social life back in Leeds a lot. So that side of it I did find quite tough as well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was COVID halfway through my training contract. So obviously that changed everything, and everything went virtual really, and the travel almost stopped. And you might only go to the client for the opening meeting and the closing meeting, and that's it. You wouldn't have to stay there for like the whole duration of the project. But I guess for you, pre-COVID, it's all just staying, on site.
Yeah, on site. I think you probably had a completely different experience from me in that sense, but also, again, my favourite bit about PwC was the social scene, and you work with teams, you work with loads of different teams throughout your career there, and just met some such good people, and that was like my favourite bit about PwC was the people that work there, like just some great people, and we used to have like a great, like we used to play football together loads, like we'd have regular sort of social events and that, and so I feel for you in the COVID years, because you sort of missed out on that stuff, which I think was one of the best bits.
I had about a year and a half of fun before.
Okay, right, yeah. So you get to know each other, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely a big change. And I feel really sorry for the people that literally came in, at COVID or just after, because that is just a whole different ball game. Because at least I knew the job by the time we went into COVID. Yeah. Whereas some people, if they're training and having the induction during COVID, that is just wild, really.
Agreed. Yeah.
So how did you find that whole period of your early career? Obviously, Accountancy Hub is all about supporting trainees in their early career. Now I'm starting to work with accountancy firms. How did you find that period?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Again, it's a great bit of your life, and I look back at it really fondly, because when you start at if it is your first role, it's the first time you're earning money and you're sort of independent. As I said, it's almost an extension of university in a way, but then you're now earning money as well. So you're sort of quite young, fresh, energetic, but then you've also got some income, which is amazing. So that side of it was great. The hardest thing was the exams. You know what it's like, the pressure. And again, PwC, if you failed an exam twice, you're gone. So that pressure was real, and you've got a lot of pressure on you to pass these exams. And as I said, having not done any finance stuff before joining PwC, I really had to sort of work at it to develop that. And I remember, first few exams, you're just going like, I'm having to learn loads here. And having done a really tough chemistry degree, and sort of thinking, this will be all right. I was just going like, there's so much here. There's so much content, a law exam and then an accounting exam, then management accounting. There's so many different bits. So that pressure was tough. And then you go back to work and then have to switch into, I'm now in like PwC working mode rather than college mode. So flitting between those two was quite tricky as well. So I'd say that was tough. It did then, they always say it gets easier because then once you qualify, obviously your exams are done and the pressure's off and you can really focus on that work, which is nice. The other thing I found hard was because you were in and out of college, you didn't get like a consistent run of jobs. So you sometimes felt like you were joining a job or project like halfway through, having come back from college, and then you'd know you're about to go back to college. So it was sort of a bit of you're half in, half out, quite a lot of the time, which was quite tricky.
Totally. So you can be at the firm for 2 years and never have seen a project end to end, which is actually quite bizarre.
It is, and it's hard then to conceptualize what that project involves, isn't it? It's quite hard to sort of know. You're right. You just go in and do a few bits and then leave again. It can be quite tricky,
So you said on LinkedIn, I enjoyed studying for my ACCA qualification so much that I became a tutor. Tell me more.
Okay, as I said, I had some amazing tutors up in Leeds, and I guess they were sort of the inspiration. I'm actually seeing Ben tomorrow, so hopefully you don't put this out before then, because he'll be gloating that he was the inspiration for my for my career move. But just like seeing people so enthusiastic about their work and so passionate about helping people to learn and to get people through those exams. It genuinely is inspiring. Like you don't very often get someone who's that enthusiastic about the work that they're doing. So just remember watching them and thinking, that looks good fun. Plus the added bonus of they all seem to be going home at 4:30, which looked amazing. So that the hours seemed, it's a very sort of almost definitive time frame for classes. And once you've done your class, it's a bit more chilled and you can sort of do what you need to do. So the lifestyle appealed to me, but also the just the work they were doing. And the best thing I liked about PwC, which I haven't mentioned too much yet, was helping others as well. So as you get a bit more senior, I really liked then helping the newer people and training them up. I found that great, and they'd come to me with questions and I'd always have loads of time for them. So I'm quite a patient person, and I think that side of it really appealed to me as well, like helping people to develop, to grow, answering their questions. So then when one of my former tutors sort of said, there's a job that's come up, are you interested? I was like, okay, this sounds good. And then before I know it, I was doing the interviews, got a job, and I was up and running.
I mean, it just shows there are so many different career routes once you're qualified. You can go into teaching, you can work at all the millions of different departments within professional services. You can go in-house, be in industry, work in any sector. There is a lot of choice, isn't there?
Yeah, James Perry always describes it as a career passport, like the qualification. I think that's right, isn't it? It's and I've got a load of people who, one of my good mates works in the football industry, for example. I know quite a few people who work in the music industry, with ACA or ACCA qualification. It's amazing what people go on to do with it. So it really is one of those things. You get that qualification and lots of opportunities open up, which is amazing.
Tell me a little bit more about AFM, which is the exam that's part of the ACCA qualification that you teach now. What does it stand for and what do you like about that exam?
So AFM is Advanced Financial Management. So I've always taught financial management and advanced financial management throughout my career. So that's you'll remember that it's all your NPVs and your hedging and your WACC and all those sorts of topics. Again, as I mentioned, I did a chemistry degree, so I've got quite a science, mathsy background, and sort of that's the way my brain works. So that was always my favourite subject. The FM financial management stuff was always my favourite topic when I was a student, but also then to teach as well. I love that side of it. AFM is one of the 4 ACCA options papers at the end of, or towards the end of the qualification, that students can do. It's got a really nice mix of maths and sort of calculations, but then there's also quite a lot of discussion and, like linking it to the industry that the company's in and offering financial advice as well, which I like, because I do like those discussion bits as well. So it's a really nice blend of sort of, the calculations, math stuff, but then also your business understanding and your commercial acumen, which is great. So I love it as a paper, really enjoy it, and love teaching it. It's great. And when it clicks and people get it and they understand, oh, actually, okay, this is okay. At first it can be quite daunting, it can be quite overwhelming. There's quite a lot of, especially hedging, people are like, oh, there's so much stuff, but
I hated hedging.
Just that word.
I did understand it. I was like, wow, I should be a trader. I should start investing in things, and I've never done it.
Yeah, there you go. You should. It's one of those subjects, and like WACC as well. I find students it's almost like they hear those words, hedging and WACC, and they just go, "Oh, I don't like this." But honestly, once you've practiced it a few times and done a few questions, and with hedging, I've got like a bit of a standard procedure to it. It becomes so nice, and I love doing them. I might just do a hedging question after this. Actually, I might just sit down and do one just to relax.
Please get a life, Andrew, please.
No, I won't really. But it's it's great. So I love AFM. It's a great subject, and that's why I sort of went into teaching it and doing my own online courses for that. So helping students and being able to study flexibly and things is amazing for them.
So I mentioned at the start that we hosted a webinar, and it was all on technique and mindset. What is so important, do you think, about mindset and also confidence for being successful in accountancy exams?
It was great doing that webinar, and I think people found it really useful about how important the mindset is, and some practical tips. Having that confidence and belief that you can pass an exam is absolutely crucial, and you see it. I think sometimes people are a bit skeptical, or I just need to learn how to do the questions. But if you go into an exam thinking you're going to fail, and thinking this is going to be terrible, I'm definitely not going to pass, you probably will fail. Like it's that thing. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way, because when that first question comes up and it's a bit tricky, you instantly say, right, I can't do that question. Like, write it off. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to skip it, or I'm not even going to bother reading it, because you've told yourself you're not going to be able to do it. Whereas on the flip side, I'm really into the positive mindset and going in really feeling like, and you can pass this and really believing in yourself. If you go into that exam thinking, I'm going to pass this exam no matter what, when you see that tricky question, you're like, okay, this is a bit tricky, but there are bits of this I can do, or I'm going to give this a really good go. And so that different mindset does translate into directly into marks. It's not just a sort of a wishy-washy thing just to try and get people through an exam. It genuinely earns you more marks, because you've got that belief, you've got that self-confidence. And then what it's like in exams. You start writing and you're like, oh, actually, no, I do get that bit. Or you reread it and you're like, oh, actually, I can do that. Or if it comes back to you, and it almost, it's a snowball in a way, isn't it? You start being able to answer the question. So I'm all about that positive mindset and just having that belief to go into these exams. Also, some students I know really struggle with exam nerves and really struggle with anxiety, which I know you're sort of really keen to help people with as well. And that can be, it's such a difficult thing, because some people are so nervous about exams that they almost, it's a completely different battle in its own right. And sadly, sometimes exam nerves are the thing that cause people not to pass. So the very thing you're nervous about, which is not passing, happens because it spirals a little bit because you're so nervous. So again, just trying to get people relaxed. And I think sometimes a little bit of perspective with these. It's not the end of the world if you don't pass these exams sometimes, and if it takes a couple of goes, it's okay. So it is it is important to get that perspective sometimes.
I completely agree, although I have been speaking to people recently who, if they don't pass this exam, they'll lose their job. So the stakes are high. And
stakes are high, I know.
The anxiety can get the better of them, as you say, because it is a lot of pressure. But it's just kind of giving them techniques, whether that's breathing techniques, obviously they want to have done as much work as possible so they're confident going into the exam anyway. But yeah, it's tough.
It can be really tough. Yeah, you're right. And I said at PwC it was two attempts and that's it, sort of thing. So the pressure was real, and I do feel for people. But I guess the other thing is learning how to channel that nervous energy into sort of positive. Being able to then translate that into something that actually earns you marks in the exam, because it just shows you care, doesn't it? I always say it's a bit of adrenaline, a few nerves. They show that this means something to you. So
yeah,
I'd rather have that than have no nerves or no adrenaline, because you're probably at that point not particularly driven. So it's that balance, isn't it? And it's just finding that, which is difficult.
It's like being a sports person, isn't it? Like, you've got everything on this one race, and I'm sure sports people feel incredibly anxious when they're about to start, but it's about getting in that zone and just being like, I am going to smash this.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that sport is a great analogy for the whole mindset thing, isn't it? About visualizing success. Like, visualization in sport is massive, and whether it's taking a penalty or I don't know, driving a Formula One lap, or whatever it is, these people visualize success, and they'll play out what it's going to look like and how they're going to achieve that success. They're not going into that thinking, I'm going to crash, or I'm going to miss this penalty, or I'm going to mess up the winning shot if it's a snooker game or whatever. They're always thinking positively to try and visualize that, and it's exactly the same in exams. Yeah, that whole thing is so important. There's that crazy stat, I don't know if you've seen in penalty shootouts in football, about if you're taking a penalty to win a match, the percentage chance of you scoring that penalty is pretty high, because it's like you've got this sort of positive energy behind you. Whereas if the pressure is on you, if you miss, that you'll lose the match. Like, loads of people miss that penalty. So there's some statistics, like it's considerably different. I can't remember the exact numbers, but just shows, again, mindset in sport. Like, if you're like, if I score this, we'll win. Like, positivity, visualizing everyone cheering and everything, you'll probably score it. Whereas if you go in thinking, if I miss this, everyone's going to hate me, you'll probably miss it. And it's such an interesting sort of mindset thing.
I mean, the brain and the body are connected, right? I mean, the brain is part of the body, but so many medical conditions are affected by your brain and what's the thoughts that are going through your mind. And even people that are in immense pain can manage it through thinking. So it just shows the power of the brain. I think I don't really know what I'm talking about here, but do you know what I'm trying to say?
I know what you mean. When you said the brain is part of the body, which is definitely true. So, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's the mindset stuff. Again, there are people out there, like you said, who can, they have surgery without any painkillers, don't they? They'll have like a leg amputated and just do it through breathing exercises and meditation and things.
What?
So you can have, I'm sure that I heard something recently. There was maybe not a leg amputation, but some sort of pretty serious major surgery.
Yeah.
And people can always just completely meditate their way out of it and just go, right, I'm just in a completely zen state and not feel anything.
Yeah.
So definitely. Yeah. It's so important. Really, really important.
Okay. So Human Too podcast, it's all about accountants being human too. And we're shining a light on the human side of the whole profession. So can you tell me about a challenging time in your life, career, and how you dealt with that?
Yeah. There've been a few, like, so, again, as I said, exam time at PwC, that was a stressful time. So that was a big one. I mean, I think one of the best ways I managed to get through that was having that group of sort of friends around us. I was lucky because you had that graduate scheme, so everyone was doing it at the same time, so you can bounce off each other, which was nice. But the toughest time for me, without doubt, throughout my entire career, was when I had kids. And I know that a lot of my students have young kids, and a lot of people obviously who are working also have young kids. So when I had my daughter back in 2017, her sleep was terrible. She had a few sort of allergies and things, so she was in a bit of discomfort. She we literally didn't sleep like a full night with her for probably 2.5 years, where we didn't. I want to say not a full night, like the first few months, or the first probably year and a half, was she'd wake up every half an hour. So it's like that sort of is not just, I only got 4 or 5 hours tonight. Is I've had I don't know, like minutes of disrupted sleep at a time. And then I'd be going in, and I was at Kaplan, and I'd be teaching. So I'd stand in front of a group of 30, 40 students and be teaching stuff, people asking you questions. And, you were just saying about the power of the mind. When you're that tired, someone would ask, sometimes people would ask the simplest question and your brain's just going, or I'll be trying to do 8 + 4, and you stood there thinking, what's it? I think it's 12, but it could be 13, You start doubting yourself. And so that for me was just that sheer tiredness. But not only that, then also getting home, and then obviously you've then got, you want to help out. And so that you're then, you're doing bedtime, bath time. It just takes, the amount of time you've got to do other things just completely diminishes. So students, especially students who are studying for these exams and working and have young kids, like that is for me. And again, I have quite a few students who are like that in that situation. And that for me is like, it's incredible that they're able to do that. Like we did these exams without having the pressure of raising a family or having young kids at home, and also sleeping, 8 hours a night or whatever, like, doing all right with the sleep. But all these people doing it with so little sleep and all that added pressure and everything else is mad. So for me, that was the toughest bit. And then we just got better. And then we had my son 3 years later and started it again. But it's, so that is definitely the toughest bit, just going into work and dealing with that tiredness. I also think, not just from a student perspective, but just from a work perspective, people never know what's going on in your personal life, do they really? So, you're expected to go into work, deliver, do a good job, and be a pretty consistent performer. But you may have these people who have slept for half an hour the night before because of their kids, or they've again, people have got all sorts of other things going on, not just kids, obviously. And so when someone is having a bit of a bad day, or they don't quite perform as well as they did, it's like, I always think just cut them a bit of slack sometimes. There are so many things that could have caused that. Again, speaking from experience, when you're that tired, I mean, all sorts of things can go wrong when you're that shattered.
Yeah, it's so true. And when I looked around me at my graduate cohort when I was training, even the people that were flying through the exams, first time passes, were brilliant at their jobs, behind the scenes, they weren't having a good time. Like mentally, they were on the floor. Like these are people that I was really close to. So, they opened up. And I just thought, I don't think firms are aware of how much people are struggling, even if on the surface, they're doing incredibly well. You know what I mean? There are the people that are failing exams. I failed a few of the first exams, so I was technically in that box of people that were struggling. But then there are other people who are really high performers, but it doesn't mean that there isn't stuff going on behind the scenes.
No, absolutely. And also the sacrifices people make as well. Like one of the things I always say to my students, like I have an initial call with my AFM students, and I'll say to them, like, what do you like to do to relax? And whatever they say, I'll just say, like, keep doing that. Like, keep doing that. Even the week before the exam, if you like running, or you like going to the gym, or you like reading or watching films, like schedule time. And we've talked before about the importance of scheduling for these exams. And it's fine to give yourself a break. You need to do that. And I read something on LinkedIn the other day. Someone was saying, right, forget your social life for the next 8 weeks. This is it. We need to knuckle down, get this exam done. But that can really mess people up, and that can really have an adverse effect. I know people who can get to the exam just absolutely shattered because they've not done any exercise. They've not been eating properly. They've not seen their friends or family for a couple of months. It's like, that shouldn't be the case. You can do both. You can study and look after yourself at the same time. So it is really important.
There was someone in my team when I was training. They were a manager, and they said to me that they had to cut all contact with their friends and family when they were studying for these exams, and I should do the same. And I thought, I'd rather not get through these exams than cut out my friends and family. Like, they're so important to me.
No. The other thing that happens then is you lose a little bit of perspective. Like, I think I've said, I did a podcast with ACCA recently, and I told a story on there about, I used to go and see my granddad quite a lot. So my granddad died a couple of years ago, but he was nearly 103. So he was probably, so when I was doing my exams, even all those years ago, he was already pretty old at that point. So I'd go and see him quite a lot, and that'd be great because he just, just chatting to him, like he'll be telling you stories about him in the war, or he'll be telling me all these different things going on, and getting that these exams, they're not that significant really. I know they are, it feels like it at the time, but sometimes talking to friends and family who aren't doing these exams, it's like, oh, there is a whole world out there. There is a whole life out there.
Yeah.
This is part of my journey. So if I'm not successful this time, okay, we'll give it another go. It'll be okay, sort of thing. So, I think you're right. I think you almost need to ramp up the friends and family support in exam time rather than cut it out entirely.
Totally. And going back to sort of being a parent, I mean, I'm not a parent yet, so I don't know what it's like, but it sounds horrendous if you're not getting enough sleep. But I did know someone who, a bit like me, was a career changer into professional services. They had 2 kids, so yeah, they were doing the ACA with 2 young kids and working full time in audit. And I just thought, how on earth are you doing that? And she needed to get her books. This is before COVID. Was it before COVID? I think so. But she needed to get her books a few months before they would normally be delivered to her, because she knew that she would have to study over the summer holidays when, the kids were around. So she basically wanted to start studying earlier. And it was really difficult for her to get those books. And I thought, actually, all of the awarding bodies need to be aware that some people need adjustments. They need that flexibility. Yes, give them the books 3 months early. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and absolutely. And I think that having that support in place for people in, again, various different situations is so important, isn't it? By the way, I think your quote there, the headline quote, "Having kids is horrendous." It's like I do love my kids and they are amazing. Just to add that caveat before that is the thing. The headline for the podcast.
That's actually the title of the podcast.
Yeah, that's it. And Andrew Mower says his kids are horrendous. They are brilliant. They're the best thing and the hardest thing that's ever happened to me. That's what I always say. The best thing and the hardest thing. So yeah, but again, I didn't have them around when I was studying, so I'm quite fortunate in that sense.
So finally, if you could go back in time and speak to your younger self, perhaps before university, straight after school, or just before you started your graduate program, what would you say to them?
Say, enjoy yourself. That's my number one thing. Just do what you enjoy and enjoy yourself. It's become almost a bit of a cliche from older people to younger people, but it is so true. And whether it's career choices or whether it's university choices or whatever it is, if you enjoy what you do, life just becomes so much better, doesn't it? It's so much nicer if you go to work every day thinking, this is fun, I'm enjoying this. And I'm really lucky in that sense that I've loved time at Kaplan, absolutely amazing. And what I do now, I love doing it and I love helping people and everything else. So I haven't had, I don't get those Sunday night blues that people talk about and, I've got work tomorrow and, I've got to do this. I'm really lucky in that sense. So that's my number one thing. And it's just, do something you enjoy. And if you're not enjoying yourself, if you are having a tough time, if it's in a particular role you're in, don't be afraid to mix it up. And again, like you said, career changes, I've known people go completely off piste and go do a completely different career because that's what will make them happy. And I think that's so important. Just because you made a decision once doesn't mean that that's you for the rest of your life. I'd always just say to myself, do what you enjoy. If you're passionate about it and you care about it, the rest will fall into place and you'll do well. So that's always my advice.
Definitely. And it's about lifestyle as well. Depending on what you want your lifestyle to be. If you want your lifestyle to be earning a lot of money, maybe having a lot of prestige because you're quite senior in the organisation, but not really having any free time, and I guess that's the sacrifice you make, then that's great. But also you can do something else. You can have more free time. You can have a family life. You can see friends. You can have holidays. You might not be earning as much, but I guess they're decisions you make as you go through your career and you decide what is really important to you.
Yeah, you're completely right. And I think there's a bit of a shift in mentality maybe over the last few years about the status being, high earning, high pay and all that. But actually being wealthy means having time. And again, that's something that I'm really sort of working hard at is, for me, being wealthy is having more time to see my kids who I like and actually having time to do things I enjoy rather than having loads of money but no time, which seems to be a bit of what some people aim for. And again, that's fine if that's what people want to do. That's entirely up to them. Some people are really driven by that. But I know people who work 7 days a week. They earn an absolute fortune. They've got amazing houses, amazing cars, but then they've never picked their kid up from school. And again, that's not my style. But some people, again, that's fine if people want to do that. But again, it is about those decisions. And I do think a lot of people almost have that realization. Actually, I could have quite a nice lifestyle with a lot of time and do the things I value and see the people I love without necessarily having a fancy car, and getting that balance right is important.
Is there anything you'd do differently in your career?
It's a good question. Because I've ended up in a job that I love and with some really great people I've met over the time and some amazing experiences, I'd say no, because I don't regret any decisions I've made. I left PwC to join Kaplan and had a great time at Kaplan. Having left Kaplan, I'm now doing my own thing, but still have good connections at Kaplan and still do freelance teaching there and things and keep in touch with them. So there's nothing that stands out as being a decision that I regret. I'm really fortunate in that I've always enjoyed what I'm doing. I guess I've never been afraid to move on as well, which I think is an important thing. A lot of people do get in that rut, and a little bit of there is a fear of changing jobs, isn't there? There's a fear of leaving, or fear of, again, you've done it. You've made a huge call and sort of left a job that's got a lot of security involved in everything else, and gone to do something else, and that is a really bold step. But having done it again, and people who have done it, I don't know many people who regret it. So it's a risk, but so far it's working out, and I don't want to tempt fate too much.
Yeah, I'm absolutely loving what I do now, and I don't know what the future holds, so it's quite uncertain, and it is really scary. And in a year's time, I might be back in full-time employment somewhere. But that's okay, because I've got my qualification now, and I've got a lot of experience behind me, and I can do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, and again, that's the power of the qualifications, isn't it? Once you're qualified, you've got that comfort, which is amazing. So it's always good.
So to conclude, Andrew Mower likes his kids.
Yep, that's it. That's the headline. Andrew Mower does not regret having his children, despite the fact that he made him very tired for a very long time. That could be the headline. All good.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for being on the podcast.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me. Great to chat.